All right, good afternoon, everybody. This is Christopher with the National Weather Service here in Slidell, Louisiana. I want to give a real quick update on what is going on right now with Hurricane Ida. First thing off, if you are in Hancock County, Harrison County, Mississippi, and possibly even the Pearl River County, we just issued a tornado warning. This is in parts of mainly northern portions of Hancock County. I got to pull up the radar real quick just to let you see what's going on. The area of concern right now is, luckily it's away from most of the population centers we got. However, we are concerned. The rotation has been strengthening with that storm. And if I could pull up one more thing right here, I believe there may have been what we call this is the area right now we're kind of concerned with possible tornado. That may be what we call a CC drop. If that is truly a drop, what that means is that we're getting debris lofted into the air. If I was to kind of coordinate this with my velocity image, it fits. So there's a good chance that we have a relatively small, weak tornado on the ground right now. Let me clear this image off real quick and start again just to show you one more time where it is. It is right in this area. I'll back the radar up some. And you can see the direction. The storm that we have issued a tornado warning is moving off to the northwest right now. If you are in the path of this storm, please take cover. Luckily, it looks like it's going to be north of Kiln. However, if it was to continue, a lot of these times these storms don't, but if it is to continue, it is going to approach parts of Pearl River County. So look like McNeil, Career, those areas. Keep a close eye on this storm. Look for any more tornado warnings that we may issue. But right now, I just wanted to get this out first before we start hitting the other parts of the hurricane. So, again, thank you for joining us. My name is Christopher with the National Weather Service here in Slidell, Louisiana. Let's first show what we've got right now. Here is Hurricane Ida. It is still a major hurricane. They are just called a second landfall, kind of in the northern portions of Terrebonne Bay, as it's moving somewhat inland. It's, let's be honest, there's not much land. It's mostly water and marsh down there. So if you understand that, you can see why the storm is not weakening at all right now. Matter of fact, the eye actually looks like it's gotten more well-defined. It's a very symmetrical, very cold cloud tops are wrapping around the storm. Ida is not weakening at all. And let's be perfectly honest, most of our area, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Hammond, the North Shore, even parts of coastal Mississippi, and then further up towards Washington Parish, like Bogalusa, northern Tangipahoa Parish, southwest Mississippi, you have not even seen the impacts yet from this storm. Obviously, there have been some impacts in New Orleans area. We do understand that there have been wind gusts as high as 88 miles an hour reported. There may be some higher wind gusts reported that I have not seen yet. However, you are still a ways from getting the most severe impacts from this storm. If you've noticed on the right here, we'll go quickly to the satellite image. Come on, mouse. I'll try to zoom in for you. All right, let's pull it over here. There we go. So if you can see, it looks like it's been drifting to the, it was going a little bit west. It wobbled throughout the morning, and it's now kind of moving back to the north, and that's a pretty big wobble north. That wobble north right now is going to be a big concern for St. Charles, St. John, Orleans Parish, Jefferson Parish. This water right here, these winds are coming directly out of the south. It is going to drive that storm surge through Barataria Bay and north. If you did not evacuate, if you did not leave, you're probably not even hearing me right now because you've lost power. However, if you still have power and you are still able to follow us, be prepared for rapidly rising water in a lot of these areas. Real quick, to look for rapidly rising water, especially in the back bays in this area of southeast Louisiana, just south of the hurricane risk reduction system. And then not only that, what we've been seeing all morning is surge that has been piling up across coastal Mississippi and into Lake Bourne and eastern portions of Plaquemines Parish. These winds right now are coming out of the southeast and then east up here what that is doing, it is pushing water towards coastal Mississippi, towards Orleans, St. Tammany parishes, St. Bernard parishes, Plaquemines parish. Shell Beach and Waveland have both seen storm surge, excuse me, of around 6 to 7 feet already. That's where the tide gauge is reading, plus minus the astronomical tide, or what the tide is supposed to be right now. And since the tide was supposed to be in a negative range, both in Waveland and Shell Beach, it's actually adding now to that total surge. The problem, which I'm going to try to show a little bit later, is that we're now getting close to low tide at Shell Beach and Waveland across coastal Mississippi. The astronomical tide is not going to start rising quite yet, but it's not going down anymore. And because it's not going down anymore, the water's going to start going back up. And then once we start moving towards high tide, and then that onshore flow picks up, storm surge is going to become a very significant issue across parts of coastal Mississippi, especially the Waveland area. I want to see if I can really quick, I wish I'd have brought this up without thinking about it right now, just talking about it, but tides and currents. Let's pull this up. So if you're curious, Tides and Currents is a great website to look for, and they've actually got a link right now that is directly for Hurricane Ida, so you can look at some of these tide gauges around the area. That's a lot of us are using. A lot of our emergency managers and first responders are using it. So one of the problem sites we have is Waveland, and as you can see, this tide shot up earlier. It's going down right now, but it's only going down because the wind is basically out of the east, and we are going towards low tide. But as you can see, we're almost at low tide, and tide's not going to change much. We're going to start going back up towards high tide. High tide around Waveland is going to be after 7 o'clock tonight, possibly somewhere around, it looks like around midnight tonight. That is going to occur at the same time that onshore flow is likely going to increase. So it's going to push these tides up. We need to watch this very carefully because Waveland could see the surge rise with the gauge reading possibly showing up to close to 10 feet. We'll have to keep an eye on that throughout the evening. The other place I want to mention is Shell Beach. Shell Beach had the same issue where it rose rapidly earlier. If you follow us on Twitter, we shared an image from the St. Tammany Parish government from a fire department there that they had before and after pictures, and within 1 hour, near Delacroix, they had looks like a tide rise of about 3 to 4 feet in some areas. Just 1 hour and 10 minutes. So do not play around with surge. If you are in an area that was ordered to evacuate because of surge, do not go out there and sightsee. You are putting your life at risk. It is not a game. This is not to be played around with. These values, it did slow down. It stopped. It started to turn a little bit. That's because we're going back towards low tide. What's going to happen now? Shell Beach may not have as big of the jump like Waveland, because when we start getting that southeast winds, it'll actually kind of be pushing away from Shell Beach. But the problem is that it's going to start pushing water across all of St. Bernard Parish that's outside the risk reduction system. These areas of Plaquemines Parish outside, look for that water to continue to rise. I wish I had a gauge on here to show, but these surge values of 8 to 12 feet, we are highly anticipating the upper end of these surge values. 12 feet is likely going to occur, or even greater, in some of these areas of Plaquemines and into St. Bernard Parish. 10, 11 feet is not out of the question here around Waveland and in Hancock County. 10 feet in portions of East Orleans and Southeast St. Tammany Parish is not out of the question. The other concern with the tides is, I'm sorry about that. The other concern with the tides is going to be inside the tidal lakes. Tangipahoa Parish, St. Tammany Parish. As Ida starts to go off more to the north, and if it starts to slow down and turn like is expected, because if you look at the forecast right now, it is going to start curving. Where this occurs and this pivot is going to slow down its forward speed some, and that's just going to increase this onshore flow out of the south and south-southeast across Lake Pontchartrain. That's going to drive surge into Tangipahoa Parish and portions of St. Tammany Parish. Look for these tides, at least 6 to 8 feet surge that we're calling. It would not be surprising to see some areas that could get as high as 9. We are very concerned, especially if the storm track is a little more east than what this is. However, it's not going to take much. Looking at our satellite again, this is a very well-formed hurricane, and its wind field is expanding. The hurricane force winds now expand about 45 to almost 50 miles away from the center. That's going to put these hurricane force winds into the city of New Orleans. You have not seen these winds yet. You're getting gusts, and you're getting some areas with sustained hurricane force. And that's just New Orleans. We are just now starting this. These conditions are going to get worse for Baton Rouge. They're going to get worse for Hammond. They're going to get worse for the North Shore. They're going to get worse for portions of coastal Mississippi. They're going to get worse for other areas like Washington and Tangipahoa Parish up in the northern part of Tangipahoa Parish, and even southwest Mississippi. It may not be occurring now. You're looking outside, and obviously if you've been following the news, there's been a lot of impacts already well to the south. That's because it is just now making landfall. It has not gotten to your area yet. So please do not let your guard down. Do not think you're okay. Do not think this is over. We have already had wind gusts of 153 miles an hour reported right off of Port Fourchon by a ship. When I say off, I mean it's basically at Port Fourchon. It is not out in the water. Grand Isle buoy, it got to a sustained wind of 71 miles an hour with a gust of 95 before it went down. We have not had a report from it since 12:30. Galliano, there are 2 observations at Galliano. One is a weather observation site that is permanent there. Another one is actually by the University of Florida. They have a tower there that is highly calibrated, and it has shown a wind gust of 106 miles an hour. We've had sustained winds of hurricane force at Galliano, Duloc, portions of, now granted a little bit higher up, but Bayou Bienvenue Gage, which is a little bit higher up, has had wind gusts over 80 miles an hour. Lakefront has had wind gusts over hurricane force. So we are getting these strong winds, but we're only just now getting these strong winds in some areas. A lot of areas, Thibodeau, these conditions are going to start going down quickly. St. John, St. Charles Parish, you're about to start feeling the brunt of this storm as that northern eye wall is pushing through you. Right now, Lafourche, Jefferson Parish, they are taking the worst of the winds right now and surge. So again, I cannot stress surge. If you are in an area that was ordered to evacuate and you stayed, that is because there was a concern of surge. If you're outside that hurricane risk reduction system, the water is going to rise, and it is going to rise rapidly. I can't stress this enough. I don't think people understand how fast surge will rise. Also, as we've been mentioning before, we are very concerned with the rain. Part of the reason we're really concerned with the rain, one, is as this storm starts to slow down and pivot somewhere around here, wherever that pivot occurs, you're going to see an area of probably enhanced rainfall somewhere in this section. Watching this closely. So what does that mean? Well, the problem we have now is that we have a lot of rivers that drain into Lake Maurepas, Lake Pontchartrain. So when we start putting a lot of rain in this area, but you're also pushing a lot of water out of Lake Pontchartrain to the north, that water's got nowhere to go. And when it has nowhere to go, I'm sorry, one second. When that water has nowhere to go, it's going to flood, and it's going to flood fast. So we've got to be really careful with that issue right now. There we go. Sorry about that. A lot of people, I just don't think people are quite prepared for this. That surge is going to go up, Tangipahoa River, the Tfunkta River, possibly even Tickfall, and we're going to be raining to the north and directly over those rivers. So places in Mandeville, Madisonville, Covington, Robert, Hammond, you're going to have areas that get very heavy rain, but the water can't go anywhere because it can't drain. And then if we start adding on debris from the wind, which is blocking up any possible drainage, you're going to start getting flash flooding concerns even faster. And that's just up in the North Shore area. Any of these bands fall over coastal Mississippi, you're looking at very heavy rain along with onshore flow. Well, guess what? The water can't go anywhere either. So you're going to see flash flooding conditions occur relatively quickly, all because the water cannot drain. Over the city of New Orleans, the biggest issue is going to be, can the pumps keep up? Right now, everything appears to be okay. I mean, there have been some power outages, but it's mainly to the sewage pumps right now. So that's why the Sewage Water Board put out a message asking people, if you do have power and you did not leave, please hold back using your dishwashers, taking showers, and stuff like that. However, the other pumps right now are still working, last we've heard, but they are not going to be able to keep up if we get that band of heavy rain over the area. And once those pumps are overwhelmed, the water's got nowhere to go, and it's just going to keep raining and raining, and we're expecting rain to continue from now through Monday morning, tomorrow morning. So this isn't, I hate to sound cliche, this is not a sprint, this is a marathon. We have just started the race. We don't go out hard and then we have nothing left to finish in the end. So we need to make sure we are prepared for the long haul here. We are just starting, and conditions are not going to get any better across the entire area. Even Grand Isle, Port Fourchon, in these areas, they are still dealing with the peak of the system right now. Conditions will start to slowly improve, possibly, but they're cut off, and the surge in water is not going to go down fast due to the very strong onshore flow. So that's my spiel kind of on that. I just want everybody to understand we are just now in this ball game. We'll go back to the radar real quick. Focus to see our tornado warning has been discontinued, which is a good thing. We're going to keep watching. We're probably going to get these little spin-ups consistently throughout the day, tonight, and into tomorrow morning. Real quickly to show you the loop of the radar. As you can see, here's our Hurricane Ida. You've got what look like possibly concentric eye walls. So you've got the outer eye wall right now that's moving through Houma. It's still impacting Port Fourchon. It's just off to the west of Grand Isle, and it's starting to move into St. Charles Parish. This has got an area of very strong winds. And then you've got the main eye wall, which is just now impacting like Golden Meadow, Leeville areas earlier. So these winds in this inner eye wall are probably in excess of 120 miles an hour. Sustained winds may be closer to 110, possibly 120 in some very small sections. You could see gusts over 150 with that inner eye wall. With this outer eye wall, what that basically means is our hurricane force winds have expanded. Our tropical storm force winds have expanded. We've got sustained tropical storm force winds over a very large area. And you can see, now granted, I want to be careful. This is my radar image, which is in slide L. Due to the curvature of the earth, our radar beam will go higher up as you get away from the radar. But what you can see is that down here, we're showing winds that are in excess of 80, 85 knots just off the deck near St. Bernard Parish. So we're talking about 3,000 feet right here. We got winds that are over 100 miles an hour. We get further out, that's closer to this eye wall, and we've got winds that are well over 120 miles an hour. But they're a little bit higher up. They're about looks like 5,000 feet up. So these are the strong winds we're going to have to contend with. They're nowhere near most of our area right now. I mean, we have just started, and again, it's just these southern portions. Look for conditions to really start to go down across the South Shore, the New Orleans area, St. John, Metairie, Kenner, Hanville, all of those areas down here. These winds are only going to start increasing. Conditions are going to continue to go downhill on the North Shore as well. We're already getting stronger gusts, stronger rain bands. The other issue we got to watch for are these little sections here where we could have real quick spin-up tornadoes. All of these little features right here, these could all drop a tornado with little or even no warning. So please, if you get a warning, get a tornado warning, make sure you take cover. You want to get to an interior portion of your house. You want to make sure that you're away from windows. Make sure you know where, if hopefully there are no trees necessarily around you. If there are trees, understand where you can get in your house to keep them from falling possibly on top of you. Be prepared to act quickly for any tornado warnings, because again, tropical systems, they drop tornadoes quite often, and they are very hard to detect sometimes, and they are quick. They will happen with little or no warning. So we definitely want to keep an eye on that to make sure that you are prepared for any possible tornadoes. Let's see. Sorry about that. Real quickly, the latest on Hurricane Ida was at 1 p.m. We should be getting a new one soon, probably about an hour and 20 minutes. It may get it out a little bit earlier. We'll be on a call with the Hurricane Center relatively shortly to find out if there's any adjustment to the forecast, if they're going to stick with the 150 mile an hour winds that they've currently got at the 1 o'clock advisory. As you can see, our track hasn't really changed much. What I'm trying to point out, though, you see this curve. When these storms start to want to curve to the north and then curve to the northeast, before they pick up in speed, they slow down. This slowdown, it's not going to stall. I do want to make sure that everyone understands that. The slowdown, though, is going to occur where it pivots, is going to lead a band of very heavy rainfall and strong winds. So, Southwest Mississippi, Macomb, Wilkinson County, Woodville area, East Feliciana, St. Helena, Washington, Northern Tangipahoa parishes. Yeah, you may not have seen much right now. It may just look like a breezy, wet day. It's going to get worse later tonight. You may start seeing stuff even as early as late this afternoon, but you're probably going to start seeing the impacts increase during the evening hours, and it will continue throughout the overnight hours. Do not let your guard down because it's not that bad right now. Again, this is going to persist through tomorrow morning, and then things should start to finally get better. One last look. Here's our satellite image. There's Ida again. It's on land, even though most of this area is marsh and water. It's not going to weaken fast. It's going to weaken very slowly. So those strong winds are going to penetrate well inland. Want to focus a lot of people on this part right here. These very cold cloud tops, that's a large area of very strong winds. It's going to move to the north and the northwest with this eye. So look for extensive wind damage across not just the South Shore, but again, I want to focus a little bit on the North Shore here. Tangipahoa, Livingston, St. Tammany Parish. Hopefully you've been prepared for very strong winds. This storm jogged a little east as we were worried yesterday, and even more so last night, and it went through an extreme rapid intensification phase last night, as was forecast. So hopefully people were paying attention and were prepared. You're likely going to be without power. You're likely to be without power for weeks. And with that, saying that, we want to make sure that everybody is using proper safety. A lot of people are going to be using generators. If you do not have a whole home generator that's attached to your house and you're using a portable generator, please know how to operate it correctly. The reason I'm saying this is that with Laura, there were more fatalities with carbon monoxide poisoning than there were with the storm. Please be smart if you're using these. Make sure it's in an open area, well ventilated. Do not operate this in your garage. Do not operate this inside your house. I understand it could be miserable. It's going to be hot. Luckily, looking at the forecast, it's not going to be oppressive, but it is going to be humid, and it is going to be warm, and it is still summer down here. So once Ida moves out of the way and we're starting to use these generators because you're out of power and you're trying to keep your food safe and you're trying to keep yourself cool with a possible air conditioner, please use proper safety. Make sure your generator is well ventilated in an area that air can move without any problems. We would, if you made it through the storm, we would like for you to not lose your life after the storm because of carbon monoxide poisoning. So that is it for me right now. sorry, I know I rambled a little bit, but I just want to make sure we get the seriousness of it. We've seen a few comments of people thinking that it's not that bad in some areas. That's because it hasn't hit you yet. You are still, you haven't even started the game, and I hate to say it that way. It's not a game, but it's going to be a long haul for the rest of today, overnight tonight. Do not let your guard down. We will try to keep you informed. We'll try to keep you safe. We're going to try to keep these coming, probably not every hour, but unless we start seeing conditions really go down in some areas and we need to get this information out. If we're looking for a tornado, very strong tornado, we're getting a lot of wind damage in other areas. That eye wall is just going to be moving into populated areas. Keep an eye out, like New Orleans area, South Shore, maybe even ports of the North Shore. You may get that eye wall wind warning, or extreme wind warning, as we're calling it now. That's going to be for gusts that are greater than 115 miles an hour. Gusts that are greater than 115 miles are going to cause extensive structural damage. So be prepared for that to possibly go off. It will sound off that wireless emergency alert, the WEA. So if you have your cell phones and you're still getting a reception from a cell tower, you'll hopefully get that if you're within the warning. So be prepared for that. Be prepared for possible tornadoes, and be prepared for very heavy rain. That is a concern with us because of the storm surge. And again, like we said at the beginning, do not play with storm surge. If you're in you're in an area that was ordered to evacuate, don't go outside and sightsee. Be prepared for rapidly rising water, especially coast to the coast. And that's pretty much it. I probably should have showed this actually at the beginning of my slideshow, but I want to make sure everyone understands this. Know which office covers you. There's going to be tornado warnings issued by the Jackson, Mississippi office. There's going to be tornado warnings issued by the Mobile office as well. There's going to be flash flood warnings issued by both of these offices. You have got to know who serves you and take whatever information they give you and act on it. So be prepared for those as they're issuing products as well. Again, it's not just us that are dealing with Ida. There's a lot of people dealing with Ida. So thank you again. We will talk with you again a little bit later as we give you further updates on Ida and its track, and hopefully not too many more tornado warnings. Everybody try to stay safe.